Hey everybody, Austin back again, this time with some Rolling Stones pinball gameplay. Now this is actually something that I've been wanting to try to do for a while. For one, just to play some games on camera and then get to talk about it afterwards like I'm doing right now. But two, I also wanted to test out how recording gameplay footage of a real pinball machine would turn out with my camcorder. Primarily because I actually want to get some footage in the near future for an upcoming Super Nintendo review I'm doing. So this kind of killed two birds with one stone. What you're watching here is actually going to be about 5 games worth of actual Rolling Stones Stern pinball gameplay. I did about 5 games. I had some good games, I had some really bad games, and what you're going to see here is pretty much an example of, you know, what to do sometimes when you're playing pinball and what not to do sometimes when you're playing pinball. Now, for those pinball purists that have been, that might be watching this video, as opposed to my regular video game subscribers, I have not been playing pinball that long compared to many other people out there. It's been about 2 years now since I've been playing regularly. I discovered pinball, like I said, about 2 years ago. I ran into a Stern Avatar machine, really liked it, went to look for some video game compilations like the Williams Pinball Hall of Fame, and then that led me to track down a local pinball joint that had about 14 machines, and I've basically been playing regularly ever since, probably at least on a weekly basis. So, but yeah, this is this was really interesting for me to do here because, well, let me just say that positioning the camera to actually, you know, record the footage that you're looking at was kind of tricky. I had to put my camcorder on top of a stool on top of my dining room table while the camera was on its tripod, and I had to sort of turn the tripod in very thin, you know, which doesn't give it a whole lot of support, so I was worried that it might fall down during gameplay. But I'm going to go ahead and flash some pictures of my setup as I was recording this, and it was interesting. But you know what? I think it ended up working out in the end. As you can tell, the footage, it looks all right, and it should be good enough for this video. Alright, now for those of you guys that don't want to actually sit through and watch all 5 games of gameplay, basically what I'm going to do is have some hot links down in the description box below, basically linking to each game, and I'm going to also sort of list the highlights and whatnot, like do I get to Encore mode, do I get to Records Multiball, etc, etc. Some of maybe the harder things to do, or some of the things that you might not see all that often when you see people play this game. So if you want to skip to my best games, you can just go to the description box below and basically just go exactly where you want to. One other thing to note is that I actually do have extra balls on. This is my own personal Rolling Stones machine. It's my one and only pinball machine right now. And because it's at home in my apartment, I do have extra balls on. I also have specials to award extra balls, and so what you'll see me doing is I will be using some extra balls. I think I actually only get a total of 3 between all 5 games, so it's not like every game is long and I'm really milking the extra balls. Now, one reason I have them on is because getting to the very final mode in the game, Encore Multiball, is really freaking difficult. And when I got this machine, what I told myself was, okay, I'm going to keep extra balls on until I get to Encore Multiball, if it ever happens. Once I get to Encore Multiball, not just Encore, which I can do on a somewhat consistent basis, Encore Multiball, when I get to that, I'll turn, say, specials off. Specials will award points instead of awarding extra balls. And if I can get to it again after that, I'll turn off regular extra balls, period, and I'll just have to do it in a 3-ball fashion. So basically what I'm trying to do is kind of condition myself and train myself slowly but surely. So, you know, if I meet that goal, I'll turn 1 extra ball off. If I meet that other goal, I'll turn the next one off, and then I'll just be playing completely legit from there on. And the extra balls and specials and so forth will just give me points. Alright, so here we are on our first game, guys. What's actually kind of interesting about this whole experience for me is that I actually had to move my machine quite far out to be able to position the camera to actually get the entire playfield. And so the machine was actually playing quite different than it was when it was in its original position. And on this first game, the ball's actually moving kind of slow compared to what, you know, the speed it normally moves at. And what I actually did in each game is after each game I went down underneath the machine and I twisted the legs up. I adjusted the leveling essentially. So by the end of this whole video, the ball's going to be moving a lot faster because the table's steeper at that point. But on this very first game, the ball is actually moving kind of slow. But yeah, this was actually very interesting to do because, you know, I'm not used to moving my game around like that, so I'm used to it playing it in a very specific way. Sometimes I'll have to adjust the left leg a little bit because I do shake the machine, you know, just to kind of re-level it slightly, but not to any degree that I've had to do here. So this was really interesting. I kind of had to play it on the fly. Now, I do know the game pretty well, so it's like, you know, I know what I'm doing rules-wise and all that stuff, but it definitely was a little tricky to get used to. And after each game, I adjust the legs some more, so it's like after every game, I had to kind of readjust and just basically get used to the whole thing again. So there we go, that was ball 1. We're on ball 2 now. As you can kind of tell, I'm shaking the machine around. I didn't expect the camcorder to really pick up the shake that much. I didn't think it would make that big of a difference. But once I start shaking it, the whole thing really starts shaking. Alright, so for those of you guys that have never played the Rolling Stones Pinball, there's really one primary goal in the game, aside from just getting, you know, a high score. But that is to complete everything in the center of the playfield. Now, if you notice moving Mick in the center, there's six lights lit up. Well, almost 6. There's 5 lit up right now. If I hit that 6th one, I'll get Album Multiball. If you look right below him, though, there's actually 7 lights or 7 items I can light up. And that's basically activating specific modes. Right now, I just activated licks and combos. Combos is the yellow one on the far right, and licks is the red one right next to combos. And, you know, since I've already done 2, basically my goal, well, now I've done 3 because I've activated Album Multiball. Album Multiball is that top white center one. Now what I want to do is try to get the other 4. There's a green one that says Records. There's a star for Rock Star Multiball. There's the other one next to that, which is fast scoring. And then there's World Tour, which is shooting the orbits on the, well, basically just the orbits. So once you complete all those and you get all those lit, you basically activate or you light Encore. And Encore is sort of the first wizard mode in the game, I would say. It's basically in Encore, every shot's lit for big points, and you want to basically complete every shot and then hit the Super Jackpot to complete Encore. It's really good points, but it's a little tricky to get to. But I'm actually seeming to make decent progress here towards that right now. Spoiler alert, though, I actually do not get to Encore in this this playthrough. I think it's not. I don't get to Encore until my very last game, my 5th game. So if you want to see that, you can go ahead and skip ahead. Okay, Licks is a really good mode in this game. Licks is actually very simple to get to. And when you first plunge the ball on your first ball, all you have to do is just keep hitting the center ramp over and over. And that will activate Licks. After that, once you activate Licks the first time, you have to start shooting the center and the right ramp to eventually activate it. Unfortunately, I did not have a separate camera set up to record the dot matrix display. I actually thought about that, but not till after doing this. And I actually checked after my first game, but when I went to my other camcorder after this first game, I realized the battery was dead in it, so there was no way I was going to get the battery charged in time to be able to record the D&D. But what I've kind of done to replace that is to basically just take a snapshot with my cell phone camera of my of my scores. And so after every game, I'll show a quick picture of my score in that game. This first game, I think I actually get a decent amount of points. It's like 50-something million. My other 3 games after this, not so hot. I think I have a 10 million game. I think I then have a 20-something million game. But my last game is easily my best with something along the lines of, I think, 100-something million on that game, which is a pretty good game. I mean, even for extra balls, I think it's pretty solid, so... But yeah, as I was saying, I'm unfortunately not able to record the DMD. That would actually help me a lot more to explain modes like licks. Licks, when you shoot one of the ramps, you will you'll add a letter to Rolling Stones, and the goal is to spell out the words Rolling Stones completely, and when you do that, you activate licks mode. On licks mode, every single shot, every main shot anyway, is lit. As you can see right now, every shot is blinking red. That means licks is going. And what happens is, when you're in licks, the first shot will be worth like 200,000. The next shot will be worth 250,000. And it keeps stacking up, it keeps snowballing like that until every shot is 500,000 points. And what happens is when you shoot a shot in licks, you can't shoot the same shot again, at least not the center or the right ramp. And that forces you to shoot an alternate shot. So what you might do is you might shoot the center ramp for 200,000, then you might go for the right orbit for 250,000. After that, the ball's back around, you captured it, you can go for the center ramp again for 300,000. And then after that, maybe you want to go for the right ramp because you can't go for the center ramp again for 350,000. I've probably lost track by now. But that's basically how licks works. Now the key with licks is stacking it on top of other modes, like get licks going while you've got a multi-ball going. What I like to do when I'm playing for points is always prep licks before I start a multi-ball, because it's easy points. You're going to be making shots anyway, but licks stacks on top of whatever mode's going in that multi-ball. So for every shot you're hitting in a multi-ball, you can also basically be doubling or tripling your points because you've got licks going at the same time. Now the other great thing about something like licks is that, I just got the extra ball on the right ramp, so you can see the center light right between the flippers is lit. That means I got the extra ball. And you'll notice I'm backhanding that right ramp, and it's a very easy shot. And what I'd recommend is, that was terrible. And I'm yelling at the game. I'm yelling at myself because I should not have let the ball drain like that. But basically, as I was saying, what I might recommend you do is not go for the right ramp with the left flipper that often, because it's actually a much tighter shot than it looks. It's harder to be consistent at, and if you miss just slightly and you hit one of those posts at the front of the ramp, the ball's likely to ricochet immediately back to the left out lane, and you're just not going to be able to save it. But yeah, backhand that right ramp, super useful shot. But like I was saying, licks is great to stack on top of other multi-ball modes. But if you can get your... let me actually explain another element. You can actually multiply your shots ×2 by hitting the 4 rollovers at the top of the playfield. Unfortunately, the rollovers are blocked. I wasn't able to get the camera up high enough. And that was a really stupid drain as well. I was trying to let it bounce off the flipper, but it was too close to the edge of the flipper and it went straight down the middle. So that's it. That's game 1. Game over there. And here is the score for that.
Until we rock again. Good night.
Alright, here's game 2. And now you see the balls at the top of the playfield. There actually is a skill shot. You can rotate back and forth. There's actually 2 kinds of skill shots in this game. There's the ones for just the standard rollovers at the top. There's a blinking light. You can have it bounce back and forth, and if the ball rolls over the blinking light, you get like 250,000 points, something like that, and then it snowballs for each ball. If you get it a second time on ball 2, it's 300,000, and then 350,000 on ball 3, etc., etc. And I believe it keeps going up until your game is over. There's also a second skill shot. It's on the Records shot. Now the Records shot is that small, tiny pseudo lock. Right, it's in the center of. I'm sorry. It's between the right ramp and the center ramp, center/left ramp. It's actually technically called the left ramp, but it's a center shot. So sometimes I call it the center ramp as well. So now if you can plunge the ball and get it in between those two ramps where the record shot is, you actually get, I think it's 500,000 points first. And then for every other, you know, successive skill shot, it goes up to 550,000, then 600,000, etc., etc. To be honest, I don't ever go for the record skill shot unless, say, I've got Records Multiball lit, or if I've got, you know, I just need one more shot to start Records, and I really want to start Records at that point in time. But realistically, you're best off going for the rollovers at the top, because when you complete all 4 rollovers... oh, I just got Untitled Multiball. Okay. That was on purpose, yeah, because I got licks going, and I got one of the things ×2, so that's a good time to start the multi-ball. Realistically, what you want to do is you want to start licks, you want to start records, then start licks, and then start multi-ball. That gives you a lot of potential for good points, but you can also be collecting those licks while you're collecting those records, while you're making shots for multi-ball. You can basically be going for 3 things at once, and it's, you know, I like to always try to have those 3 modes going together: records, licks, and a multi-ball. But yeah, as I was saying, I don't usually go for that record skill shot. It's just, I mean, the points, you might say, well, it's 200,000 more points than a regular skill shot, or 300,000 more, whatever it is. But really, I mean, you're best off trying to go for the ×2 scoring. If you'll notice on this playthrough right here, I've actually got 2 lanes lit right now. I've got the right ramp and the left ramp, both lit ×2. So, you know, the scoring is multiplied ×2 on those shots, and that makes a massive difference if you're going for score in this game. Absolutely a massive difference. Now, what I'm trying to do here is get the Super Jackpot on Untitled Multiball, and I messed it up. Basically what happens there is, when you make every shot on Untitled Multiball, Mick will block the left Rock Star target, and there's 3 flashing stars on the playfield in front of the ramps. Those are the Rock Star targets, and as you can see right now, there's one right behind Mick. And what happens on Untitled Multiball is, if you make all 6 shots, Mick will block that left ramp Rockstar target. And what you have to do is hit Mick with 1 ball, and he'll jitter out of the way for a quick second. And with the other ball, you'll have to hit the Rockstar target, and that gives you the Super Jackpot on that mode. Unfortunately, that's not actually the end to that mode. If you want to actually finish the mode, you have to do a lot more work after that, but I'm not even going to try to explain that right now. So again, one of the basic goals in this game is to first light every single, you know, mode on the playfield, and once you do that, you activate Encore, which I already explained on game 1. So that's basically what I'm trying to do in this playthrough. I'm trying to go for most of the modes, but I have the tendency to get sidetracked and you know, lose track of what I'm actually going for, what my goals are, and that was terrible. I should have tried pushing the machine, and I just purposely tilted it. But yeah, that's the end of that mode. But as I was saying, one of the things I do is I'll have the tendency to end up just going for multi-balls with super combos going, with licks going on top of it, etc., etc. So instead of trying to complete every mode, or at least light every mode to get to Encore, what I'll end up be doing is just going for bigger points with super combos and blah blah blah, and you'll see that in the upcoming games. Alright, now we're on to game 3. And the ball is back at the top of the playfield. I just got the skill shot, which means that one of the rollers up top is lit. And again, if you get all 4 rollovers, you can light 1 shot for ×2, and that ×2 lasts for the rest of your ball. So you really want to take advantage of the scoring when you get a couple lanes lit for ×2. You really want to take advantage of that. It can really build your potential for points, especially if you're going for a high score. Trying to complete the modes doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a high score. Again, I mean, there's faster ways to score points. than other ways in this game. I mean, one mode, like for instance fast scoring, you actually don't really score all that fast. It's more like slow scoring. If you want to build points really fast, you might want to go for super combos. Now, super combos are activated by hitting the guitar targets on the right of the playfield. And I just death saved it, and I tilted. With how my machine is set, the tilt is there. You can tilt, as you just saw, but it's not a super strong tilt. So if I really push the machine, I'll probably get 2 tilt warnings, and that'll lead me to still be able to play, but I have to make sure not to really touch the machine that hard, otherwise I will tilt. So I can death save on this machine. What was actually kind of fun about doing this video is my machine is normally pushed up to the wall on the right, so in normal play I actually can't death save it. There's no room to push the machine except into the wall, which I obviously don't want to do. So, you know, having the machine farther out to do this video was actually kind of cool, because I got to try to death save again, and I actually did it. I think on my last game I death saved once successfully without tilting, and I keep the game going. So now, that sort of maneuver is illegal in tournament play for pinball, but when I play by myself on my own machine, I like to do things like that and do whatever I can to keep the ball going. Plus, it just feels good being able to death save and keep your game going. It's kind of like giving the middle finger to the game, especially if you've had if you've gotten shafted a few times. So as I was saying, you know, there's certain ways that you can score points a lot faster than other ways, and super combos is one. Again, you hit the guitar targets on the right, and what you have to do after you light the guitar targets, you have to shoot 5 successive shots, very specific shots. It either has to be the center ramp, the right ramp, or the left and right orbits. You have to hit those 5 shots consecutively within 5 seconds of each shot. So if I hit the center ramp, within 5 seconds I have to hit the right ramp or the orbit. You can't do the same shot over and over again unless it's the orbit. The orbits don't count for that. So if you hit the record shot or the pop bumper shot, it will not work. Your combo will end and you'll have to start over. But if you manage to get 5 consecutive shots within 5 seconds each, you'll light the center ramp for super combos. Now, I just activated super combos again. You could actually hear him say, shoot the left ramp for super combo. Oh, actually, I don't know. Maybe did I activate licks after super combos? This game's a little confusing sometimes, because sometimes you'll activate a mode, but then you'll activate another mode and the music will cut out. And then usually that music change is my cue to whether I've actually successfully activated another mode, particularly super combos. It has a very cool, faster track for super combos, and I really listen for that to know whether I've activated it or not, especially if I've activated it once already. If you notice, the super combo light in the far right on the mode lights is already lit, so I really listen for that audio cue. There we go. Super combos is going now. See, the center ramp is constantly flashing. That means super combos is going. And as I was trying to say, is super combos is a really, that was bad, is a really good way to build fast points. And it's something like, it's something crazy like, it starts out at like 600, 700,000 a shot. The next shot is 750,000. The next shot, actually, it probably starts off less. It probably starts off at like 500,000, then goes 550, 600, 650, 700, etc. The thing is, it doesn't cap off up until it's like, I don't even remember. You can eventually get like 1.2 million, 1.3 million per shot. And if you've got that lane times 2, it's just absurd points. Now, 1 million or 2 million points in this game, it's actually a lot of points. I mean, this is not a super huge scoring game. It's not like Jackpot or something like that, you know. But it's also not Avengers, where the points are just ridiculously small to where they don't even feel good. But this is one of those games where 40 or 50 million points is a decent score. So, you know, on Super Combos, you have the potential, just if the ramp is not ×2, you still have the potential to get a good 15 million points, maybe more, just by milking it. If the ramp is ×2, you'd be looking at 20, 30, maybe even more points if you can restart the mode. Not restart it, but add more time to it. And that actually leads me to another thing I really wanted to talk about, and this is something I do go for on purpose all the time, and you see it in this playthrough, is when you have a mode going, if you hit the VIP targets, there's 3 pink yellow targets on the left flashing. If you complete all those while the mode's going, it'll add more time to that mode. So what you can do is Super Combos normally only has about 10 or 15 seconds, but what you can do is add more time to it and get up to 30 seconds for Super Combos. That's 30 seconds to just nail that center ramp over and over and over again for basically huge points. And if you're good with your shots, if you're good with your control, one thing you see me doing is when I'll shoot the center ramp to start combos, then I'll shoot the right orbit to loop the ball back around for my second combo shot. Middle fingers for the win. And then I will do a loop pass to bounce the ball from the left flipper over to the right, hit the center ramp for my third shot, hit the right orbit again, and then do the same thing. Loop pass as it comes back around, and then hit the center ramp for my final shot. And then I can activate Super Combos. I can do that really consistently, and you see me doing that a lot. I did it multiple times in my first game in this video, and that is really a key to building points really, really fast. So some things in this game, I mean, you can either play for really big points, and in that case I'd recommend going for combos, or doing multi-ball with licks going while combos are going. You can do that too. It can get pretty fun with the stacking for big points. But if you're just trying to complete all the modes, again, that doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna get big points, because if you're just going for all the modes, all you need to do is start Super Combos. You might not actually hit, you know, that once Super Combos are actually activated, like you've lit the light, you might not actually finish it. You might not get it flashing. Same with licks. Licks, you've got to make like 15 or 20 shots or something to complete it. But it's, you know, you might not actually complete it. You'll just light it, and that's fine. Then you'll try to go on, you'll activate your Rock Star Multiball, then you'll activate your Album Multiball. And here I am, I'm testing the leveling. I'm trying to see, you know, if it's not leveled right. I actually don't have a leveler, so I am, again, after every single game, I've actually gotten down underneath the table. And the other ones I've just kind of chopped out, but this one I decided to just go ahead and leave in. I re-leveled the game after every single game, so every time I'm playing this, the game feels a little bit different than it did before. So, and a little bit faster because I've steepened it after each game. But yeah, again, as I was saying, if you're going just for all the modes, it doesn't necessarily mean big points. There is the potential for big points if you get to Encore and you actually complete it. Encore is actually really solid points if you can complete it. Encore can be worth up to 20 million points as a base, but if you can have a lot of the shots ×2, and if you can have the Encore Records Super Jackpot shot ×2, you have the potential to get 40 or 50 million points. It's really, really good if you can get to it, but trying to complete all those... trying to activate all those modes doesn't necessarily mean big points in itself. You still have to make a ton of shots. So if you want big points with less work, Super Combos is the way to go. Or, you know, get in your multi-ball ready to go and start licks with a couple lanes ×2. And, you know, that's definitely a good way to get your score going up as well. So, one thing I didn't really talk about yet is Records itself. Now, I activated the first Records mode, which on my machine, how it's set, is Mixed Emotions. Now, you can actually change, I believe, the order the songs come out. There's actually multiple songs for Records modes. And there's mixed emotions, there's happy, there's it's all about rock and roll or something like that, and then love is strong. Right now, mixed emotions is going. Each song you activate for records mode has a different records pattern. If you look near the top right corner of the playfield, well, now they're switching. You'll notice records are bouncing back and forth through the playfield. What you want to do is you want to shoot those shots when they're lit with records and collect those records. And I just drained. So the records are still bouncing, but now they're going to disappear. So basically what you want to do is you want to go for those records if you can. Those actually build towards completing the green light on the center of the playfield records. And if you can actually collect 25 records on stock settings, you can activate Records Multiball, which is a really good multi-ball if you can keep your ball under control and keep it going. Records Multiball. It's an Attack from Mars style multi-ball mode where every shot is lit for a jackpot, but every shot you make adds to the Super Jackpot value, which can be hit on a very specific shot on the table. So kind of like Attack from Mars, you go for a bunch of different shots and then you go for the Super Jackpot shot and you just keep doing it over and over and over again. And on Rolling Stones, you can multiply your Super Jackpot shot by 2, or if you get every single green light lit in the playfield, you can have the potential to multiply it by 3. It gets pretty nutty actually. So, and on this game, I death saved it again. Not a very good death save, but I tilted. Now again, on my last game, I do actually death save it successfully and continue my game. But again, if you guys play out in the wild, or if you're not all that familiar with real pinball, if you're just getting into it, you don't want to try to do that on location unless the operator says it's okay. I was kind of lucky in the first place I was playing at and learning how to play pinball at. It was run by a guy that he was a player. The machines weren't in the best condition, but he was the kind of guy where he would do whatever he could to keep the ball in the playfield. So he was like, dude, these machines are meant to be pushed around. Like, kick them. Maybe not, don't kick the legs, but like, you know, push the machine. Try to get the ball back up in the playfield. You know, don't kick the coin boxes or anything like that out of anger. But death save it every now and then. Try to get the ball back up. He was that kind of guy. But if you go to other locations, the operators will be like, no, don't do any of that to my machines. Because, you know, pushing the machines around really hard can make some, you know, the wiring and sockets come loose inside the board. I'm sorry, I can't even talk straight right now. But underneath the playfield, you know, things can come loose. So I can definitely understand why some people don't want you doing that. But to some people, players, it's just a part of the game. It's a way to keep their games going. It is sort of another demonstration of skill to a degree. It's a pinball skill. It takes a little practice to get the timing right to death save it, and every machine's different as well. My Rolling Stones, though, I found it's actually I can do it really consistently, actually very consistently, if I can actually you know, play my machine where I can actually push it. So, alright, that was game number 4, I believe, and this last game, I believe this is the last game coming up, is going to be my best game. And here is the score for that. Alright, so I believe the 5th and final game, I'll try to explain some other things in the game, as I know I've been kind of just going all over the place with my talking. I'm not used to talking after the fact. Normally, I'll do things like this in a Let's Play style format where I'm actually talking live. I'm not just slapping a commentary track on top of it after the fact. Now, when I started this game, I had one goal in mind, and that was to get to Records Multiball. Because I wanted to try to demonstrate that. I wanted to get to Records Multiball. Records Multiball it feels really good getting to it because it's actually a good bit of work to get to it. But it also has the potential to be really good points if you can just milk it and again keep your ball under control and in play. Unfortunately, I don't have a very good show of succeeding at Albums Multiball, but I do end up getting to it in this game. So you do get to see what Album Multiball does. Not Album Multiball, I'm sorry, Records Multiball. Now that record shot, it's a blue shot. Actually, technically on the original game, it's a green shot, but I actually did an LED upgrade kit on my game. And I switched it out to a blue light. I think it looks pretty cool. Primarily because the game only came with 2 green lights. One for the, well, just one, which I put under the records light on the playfield, but then 2, another one for the start button on the game itself. So what I did is I used 1 green light for the start button, and then I used the other green light for the records light on the playfield itself. And so that left me with an extra blue light, and I actually put that under the records light beneath the actual shot itself. Alright, so now I've got Rock Star Multiball, and this is actually a really interesting multiball, and I actually do really, really well in this multiball. I really try to keep it under control. But basically what happens here, when you hit the Rock Star posts in normal gameplay, you work towards building and spelling out Rock Star. It's, you know, you have to spell Rock Star. And once you do that, that white flashing strobing light in the playfield that you see up there near the left ramp will light. And when you hit that, you go into Rock Star Multiball. Now what you have to do from there is no shots will be lit except for the Rock Star posts, the 3 posts that are stars. You have to hit all 3 of those, and once you do that, every shot in the playfield will become lit. Now the goal from there is to hit every shot in the playfield, much like Album Multiball. Once you hit all those shots, the strobing Rockstar white light, will start flashing again, and that is your Super Jackpot shot. Now, Super Jackpots in this game, except for the Encore Super Jackpot or whatever it's called, they aren't really worth that much. Or, I'm sorry, Records Multiball Jackpot, because you can build that really high. But the Album Multiball and the Rock Star Multiball Super Jackpots, they really aren't that big. They're only like 1 million or 2 million points. So, it's a lot of work for kind of small points, because again, super combos, you can activate that and in 15 seconds have 15 million points. Whereas I play this for like a minute already, and I've probably only scored maybe 3 million points so far if I'm lucky. Probably less, because I think the normal jackpots are only worth like 250,000. So, all right. So now what I'm trying to do is get the ball under control. And realistically, what I could be doing is trying to post-transfer the right ball to get it over to the left flipper. What I needed to do is get it onto the left flipper. And as you can see, Mick is bouncing back and forth, trying to block the Super Jackpot shot. And what you want to do is just wait for him to get out of the way, and then pop it up just like that. I just got the Super Jackpot. And then Rockstar basically starts over again. And you have to hit the 3 Rockstar posts. I've hit 2 already. The ones on the right ramp, I find are easier to hit with the right flipper, and the one on the left ramp I find is easier to hit with the left flipper. Less risky as well. Sometimes if you hit the left Rockstar post with the right flipper, it'll ricochet straight down the left out lane, which is bad. Now what happens here is I believe I hit all the shots and I get the Super Jackpot lit again a second time. That's not something that usually happens when I play. Again, I don't also usually go for completing Rockstar Multiball, because when it comes to just building points, you're better off using Rockstar as a stacking mechanism. Rockstar is not worth a lot of points on its own. What you really want to do with Rockstar is have licks going, have records going, and just use Rockstar to collect your licks and to collect your records. Much better scoring options. That was bad. I should have just captured the ball, but I'm going to actually eat that. It's going to drain just like that. Now, even after you drain like that, though, you still have another couple seconds to hit that Super Jackpot, but it's too late now. So that's something to keep in mind if you are playing on your own, is once you do drain, and you still got 1 ball left, you know, even though the music has changed, you still have a couple seconds to hit that Super Jackpot shot. So definitely try to go for it. So now I got licks going, and I got Album Multiball going again. I think what I try to do is actually complete Album Multiball as well. Since I had a really good run on Rock Star Multiball, I was like, you know, I should try to do Album as well. But I have very, very bad luck with Album Multiball. And unfortunately, it restarted the mode for me. If you hit the VIP targets during the multi-ball mode, once every multi-ball mode, you can add a ball and essentially restart the multi-ball. The problem with that is you want to actually keep that under control. You don't want the ball hitting the VIP targets and restarting the mode when you don't want it to. Like if you already have 2 balls or 3 balls on the playfield, you don't want to hit the VIP targets again. You're already in good standing. But what happens is a lot of times the balls ricochet off the slingshots into the guitar or the VIP targets. And what you want to do is save the VIP targets for a situation like that where one ball goes out, and you can use that other ball to restart the mode before the other ball drains. But unfortunately, the balls ricocheting around did it for me once already. Album Multiball starts off as a 2-ball mode, and you know that the VIP targets have been wasted when a 3rd ball pops out. Because by default, it's only a 2-ball multi-ball. So that's something to really watch out for when you're playing this game. Now you saw me actually kind of like punch the machine up a little bit. I actually hit it with the palms of both of my hands to try to give the ball a little more force when it bounces, does a dead flipper bounce off the flippers. I don't always do it, sometimes you don't need to, but if the ball isn't coming down with enough force, it's really good to pound the machine. Not doing like a bang back, but just pushing the machine, smacking it real quick to sort of bounce the flipper into the ball harder, so the ball actually manages to bounce back over to the other flipper. But you know, the reason I mentioned that is not just to tell you that I did it, but when I recorded this video, I obviously took the glass off the game so you could see, you know, the playfield better. There's no glare or anything like that. The thing is, I forgot to put the lockdown bar back on, and so when I'm punching the machine, I'm basically... Oh, I just death saved it. And I'm waiting. Now the table's out of alignment. But as I was saying, I forgot to put the lockdown bar back on. And so when I'm pushing the machine and like hitting it with the palms of my hands, I'm actually eating into like the wood and it's like the corners of the game. Because normally the lockdown bar is supposed to be there. It's a nice smooth finish, and it you know, it doesn't hurt you when you touch it. But whenever I'm like pushing the machine up, I'm like hitting just the corners of the machine, and it hurts. I'm like, ow! And I think I actually cut myself once while playing this. I just completely forgot to put the lockdown bar on. And what's funny is I didn't even really notice until probably like my 2nd or 3rd game. I was like, wait a second, I forgot to put the lockdown bar back on. But instead of putting it back on, I just went ahead and just kept playing. Alright, so basically I've activated World Tour, and I've actually done that quite a bit throughout this playthrough, but the next goal is to try to finish records, and I haven't collected enough records. How records works is to actually light it on the playfield, you have to, at least on stock default settings, you have to collect 10 records. And I'm getting sidetracked. I'm going for the super combos, even though my original goal was to go for records. But I figured, hey, I've got combos activated. I might as well just get the points while I'm here, because hey, points are good, right? Funny enough, I just restarted combos, so I added time to it. Actually, it's not restarting. I just added time to it. So I'm gonna try to just milk it. I got ×2 scoring. And this right here is probably why my score was like 100 million after I was all said and done. Not counting the extra balls and things like that. And I'm having a hell of a time hitting the shot. You know, it's such an easy shot, that center shot. But sometimes you just get out of the groove and you can't hit it. Like I tried going for it again and I missed it. It's such an easy shot. And stupid things like that happen when you get out of the groove. It doesn't go up all the way, and sometimes it goes straight down the middle. Now, that would have been an instance where I would have pushed the machine to save it, but I had already death saved once, I believe. I believe it was that ball I death saved. And so I had used up my tilt warnings already. Now, if you have a really good game, if you have like a really solid ball, and you've gotten the rollovers on the in lanes and out lanes, those add to your bonus multiplier. And if you can get 7, 8, 9, 10 times bonus, if you've had a good ball, you're actually looking at 5, 6, 7, 8 million in points extra. So you can actually get decent bonus in this game if you put the work in for it. Now, if you have a 30-second long ball and you've only activated one mode, got a few ramps, your bonus isn't going to be worth anything. So, you know, it's okay to try to save your ball and try to tilt it. But there's a point where your bonus actually can get pretty high. So if you've done something like death saved, or if you've just used both your tilt warnings, just let the ball drain. It's not worth trying to go for it, because that's an extra 8 million points you're going to get for free, basically. Alright, so Records is lit again, and again I'm going to try to go for that. And what I kind of want to do is get Records going and then hit Mick to start the multi-ball. Because what's really good when you're trying to go for Records is collecting... That was close. Is getting one shot away from multi-ball, then starting Records. And what I might even try to do here is start licks. I don't know where I'm standing right now for licks. No, I'm going to go for Mick. That's what I do. So let him pop back over. There we go. Now, this Records mode is called Happy. And what happens with Happy is 2 shots light. Well, I'm sorry, 1 shot lights. The Charlie / pop bumper shot lights. And when you hit that, the Records shot lights. When you hit the Records shot, Records appear permanently for the rest of that mode on every single shot. And you can just continue to collect Records over and over. You can just milk that center ramp if you want. And that's what I end up doing. I just milk the center ramp. But I drain. And I death saved it, but I tilted. I already had a couple tilt warnings because I tried saving it earlier. So that was awful. It's always a kick in the balls to tilt or to drain your ball when Happy's going, because that was a chance to actually complete Records right there. And what I do for the rest of the game is, aside from getting to Encore, I do get to Encore. I light Fast Scoring, which is the last mode I have to light in the game. Just lighting to get to Encore, not actually finishing it to get to Encore Multiball, which I've never done before legitimately, without just triggering everything on the game myself with my hand with the glass off. So yeah, I do that, but for the rest of the game here, I do try to get to album. I keep saying album, but Records Multiball, which again I do accomplish. So I'm going for that Record shot to get it lit. And what I like to do is hit it from the right flipper. You can definitely hit it with ease from the left flipper, but the problem is it's more risky. If you miss it from the left flipper, you're likely to hit that left post on the right ramp. And if you hit the left post, or even the right post by overestimating, you have the potential for the ball to ricochet right down one of the out lanes. So that's why I try to just post transfer it back to the right flipper. Okay, now we're on Love is Strong, and on Love is Strong you have to hit 1 shot, and 1 shot is lit. When you hit that shot, the next record goes to another shot at random, I believe. It's I don't think there's a pattern initially. So I'm going to go for that orbit shot. You know what's funny is what happens is Encore is lit now. If you look where the record shot is, there's a bunch of shots lit up. That's indicating that Encore is ready to go. The funny thing is, the next record shot appeared on the Encore shot. I didn't actually want to start Encore yet, but I had no choice to collect that next record. So now I'm in Encore, but Records is still going. So what I'm trying to do now is collect those, rather than focus on the Encore shots, because it's just points. I don't really care. If you complete Encore, it's just points. You don't actually build towards anything. So what I'm trying to do is go for those record shots first. So Records are lit on the actual Records lane. and the right lane, ramp, I'm sorry. Now they're lit. Well, they were lit in the left half of the playfield. Now they're lit on the right half of the playfield. So the right 3 shots I'm going to be going for. Got one. Now it's on the center ramp. I'll go for the center ramp. Oh, and I drained. That was awful. That's a bit of a kick in the balls too. Like, even though I wanted to try to just go for the records, I was still in Encore. So it was, you know, Encore is still a decent amount of points. I think how it works in Encore is every shot starts off at a certain amount of points, and it stacks, it builds up after, it snowballs after every shot. And so what I like to do in that is go for non-times-2 shots, and then towards the end go for the times-2 shots, because then the multiplied shot will be worth even more. So, you know, since I've already done Encore, I'm on my last ball, and I'm basically just trying to go for collecting those records. I only have a few more records to go. I'm pretty sure I don't have that many. Unfortunately, there's no stat display telling you how many more you have to collect. I really don't know why they didn't have that option in here. It would be really useful in this game, because you really have to keep on top of you know, the progress you've made in your modes, but it doesn't tell you. But now that I got records lit, it's only rock and roll, but I like it. This is a really, really good records mode as well. It's like Happy, where one shot will be lit, and after you hit that shot a couple times, it'll light records on every single shot for the rest of the mode. So now I've done it. I've hit it, and on It's Only Rock and Roll, it's the left orbit that does it. So you hit the left orbit twice, records are now lit. So the best thing to do is, oh, I just finished it. That was my last record. So now Records Multiball is lit, and this is where it gets stressful because you don't want to drain. And I've just got Records Multiball. Records Multiball is going now. So as you can see, every single shot is lit. And what you do is you just go for every shot. And again, like I said, this is an Attack from Mars, total annihilation style multi-ball. What happens is, again, every shot adds to itself to a cumulative total. I can't even talk straight now. But it adds to a Super Jackpot, basically. And the Super Jackpot shot is the regular records shot. And I just restarted the multi-ball because, again, the VIP targets, they restart the multi-ball. I actually did that one on purpose because having a lot of balls out in this mode, it doesn't hurt. I just collected the Super Jackpot, which probably wasn't worth much. What I like to do on this mode is actually let a bunch of balls drain, get a ×2 thing going, and add it to the Super Jackpot shot. Unfortunately, I got it, and a ball rolled up there and lit the right orbit instead, so that was totally by accident, not under control, and I just nailed the Super Jackpot again as my last shot. So there we have it, guys. I mean, that's basically it. I did everything I kind of wanted to show you guys in this playthrough. I'm glad I was able to get to Encore. Oh, and I tilted. That was probably going to be some pretty good bonus, too, because I got to Encore. Oh, wait, no, Encore was the ball before that. That's right. But I started Records Multiball, got a lot of shots, and yeah, here's my score for the game. Again, I think it's 100-something million, and so, yeah. Alright guys, well I mean that basically wraps things up. This was not nearly as concise as I hoped it would have been, but you know, when I'm going back and recording a commentary track over footage I've already done, it can get a little disjointed. It's a little tricky to do. I'm so used to doing live Let's Play videos now. But yeah, again, the Rolling Stones pinball. Not a pinball machine that gets a lot of respect, and for good reason. I think there's some issues with it, without a doubt, that I didn't even bother to touch on. But for the most part, as you can see, I own this machine. This is my pinball machine, so obviously I enjoy this game, but it's definitely not without its flaws. It is a really fun game, though, once you get a handle on it, and especially once you get the loop passing down and drop catching, which unfortunately I wasn't really doing that much in this video. And once you know the rules and you know like the intricacies of it and the quirks and whatnot, like getting to Records Multiball and what it does, the Super Jackpot there, etc., the quirks on super combos, things like that, stacking modes, it's really a fun game. Again, not without its flaws, which you can read a lot of reviews elsewhere to hear about its flaws, because that's really all people talk about when this game is talked about. But if you can get the flow down, understand what you're doing, it can be a ton of fun. So I had a fun time just recording this video. I'm glad I was able to activate some modes that I thought I wouldn't have actually gotten to, like Records Multiball and the first Encore. And I got to explain most of what everything does in this game. There are a couple things I didn't touch up on, such as, you know, the combos, the guitar is actually building towards combo shots, like it actually a value builds, and there's a lot of other subtleties like that this game has. But yeah, I won't go ahead and talk your ear off too much more. I'll go ahead and cut it off here. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and for those my normal subscribers here on YouTube, I hope you sat through it and watched it. If you you know, haven't played a whole lot of pinball before, but this video might have been kind of interesting to you, definitely look for local pinball machines. If you're into video games, I think pinball is kind of like the next logical step in terms of gameplay. It's like a video game, but it's not. It's all based around rules and points, like a good old-fashioned classic arcade game. And it's really addictive. It's really, really fun. And it's real. You're not just, you know, moving a digital character around on the screen. So if you're a big fan of like action-oriented video games, especially arcade-style video games, try to look for some pinball machines in your area. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think you'll have a blast with it, especially once you get some of the basic skills down. So with that, guys, again, I'm Austin. I am pretty much out now. And, you know, if you're subscribed to my channel, I'll be back with some new videos sometime soon. So until then, take care, everybody.